know, last episode I was wearing a toque and a jacket, and this episode I'm in a dress. I love warm Octobers. Welcome back to Brome Bird News. Did you know that a new season is being introduced in the avian world? It's called the drunken bird season. I'm just joking. But early in September, when we had that early frost, a lot of berries froze, and now with warmer weather, they're starting to ferment. So there's been a lot of sightings of berry-eating drunken birds everywhere. And even though there's nothing that you can really do to help them out to get over that drunken state, there are a couple of things you can do to make sure they don't get themselves into any further trouble. So first of all, if you have cats or even dogs and you see the birds acting all oddly, keep your animals away from the birds, and cats especially, keep them indoors. And then if you have berries growing close to your house, close to your windows, make sure that all your windows are bird safe to prevent any bird collisions. Or if you can actually pick the berries, freeze them like I did a couple of episodes ago, or you can pick all the berries and take them elsewhere and leave them there for the birds and squirrels to discover and gorge on. Erica Schredesecker is wondering how she can prevent pigeons from eating under her feeders.
Hi Erica, please don't let those pigeons deprive you of the great pleasure in feeding birds. Just so you know, I'm not a pigeon hater. I find all birds highly interesting, including pigeons, starlings, and house sparrows. Having said that, I do acknowledge that those very same birds can become quite a nuisance in various ways. Pigeons coming into one's yard can be especially troublesome if only because they have an unfortunate bad rap in the public's eyes, and their presence can even lead politicians to prohibit bird feeding in your town or city. You basically have three problems to resolve with your pigeons. First, you might consider changing what you offer. I can tell you that pigeons eat most kinds of seeds, but they absolutely adore cracked corn and millet. If you're offering a seed that's mixed in with either or both of those types of seeds, you need to immediately change over to strictly Niger, sunflower, or safflower seed. Second, you need to prevent any uneaten seed from reaching the ground. For that, you need to install some sort of seed catcher underneath your feeder. It has to be unstable or wobbly enough to prevent the pigeons from actually perching on it, of course. If that's not easy to do, then try this third option. Place some thorny bushes in a dense format right below your feeder. This makes it much harder for the pigeons to find and access spilled food. Finally, here's a fourth option, the one that I use. I put out only two kinds of feeders, one that offers year-round suet and another that offers mixed nuts. Since you don't want to go from problems though with pigeons to problems with squirrels, Brome Bird Care in Quebec sells both kinds of squirrel buster feeders. And I'll be surprised if the pigeons hang around for the very sparse bits of suet or mixed nuts falling to the ground from those feeders. You know, it never ceases to amaze me how the media can blow things totally out of proportion and how the public reacts. Take, for instance, that recent die-off of songbirds in New Mexico in mid-September. I remember watching the headlines after hundreds of dead birds were being found in various locations in that state. Birds were literally dropping dead out of the sky, and it sounded like Armageddon for our feathered friends. In some places, the carcasses of several hundred birds, composed of various species of swallows, warblers, and flycatchers, were strewn all over the ground. Everyone was quick to blame the record-breaking wildfires in California and other western states, stating that it was the smoke choking the breath out of the migrating birds. Others said that, no, it was more likely that a lot of the habitat where these birds feed during migration had been destroyed by the fire. And still others felt that the fires had forced the birds to flee before they could replenish their fat stores so necessary for their long-distance migration. In the end, though, it wasn't really the fires at all. However, it was indeed related to food, or lack thereof. First, an unseasonable cold snap coupled with wet snow likely caused the juvenile birds to become hypothermic and die outright. Second, almost all of the dead birds were insectivores, and that sudden onset of chilly weather either killed off most of their insect food and or caused the insects to become dormant and unavailable. I took home two messages from this mortality event. First, whether it was wildfires or onset of sudden violent weather causing the die-off, it can still be related to climate change. Second was the horror and empathy that the general public expressed about these little birds dropping dead out of the sky. Yet each year, more than 1 billion birds are killed by free-ranging pet cats, along with another 100 million to a billion dying in window collisions in the US alone. So where is all the public outrage about that?
And a couple of stories on around the world. The bar-tailed godwit has almost traveled around the world, leaving Alaska and arriving in New Zealand 11 days later. This bird now holds the record for the longest continuous flight. The bird was equipped with a small tracker that allowed scientists to see how far it will fly in one shot. This particular bird has flown an incredible 7,500 miles, which is over 12,000 kilometers. A couple of interesting facts about bar-tailed godwits. Not only can they eat enough to double in size, but they can also shrink and compress their internal organs to make more room for fat, which is so necessary for their long and arduous flights. Well, with the holiday season approaching, that would be quite handy, don't you think? And if you're ever traveling in Singapore, try to stop by the Jurong Bird Park. There is a show there that's called The Kings of the Sky, which educates people about some of the world's largest raptors. But the show has been going on for so long that some of the birds are getting too old and they're no longer interested in performing. So the owners of the park decided to build them a retirement home where compatible species can live together and not worry about food, water, and shelter. Human visitors are more than welcome to check out the retirement home, but birds are not obliged to interact with anyone. FLAP, or Fatal Lights Awareness Program, has just started a new petition to update Ontario's building code to make commercial buildings bird safe. Canada is actually lagging behind the US when it comes to adopting bird safe building standards. Ontario has some guidelines, but there are no official rules and standards that apply in all the cities. And of course, knowing how successful Lights Out program has been in the States, and Canada being the place where millions of birds migrate to breed every year, we should be on board to change all the buildings to make them bird safe. This summer and fall, I find, have been quite magical here. We've had a huge flock of turkey vultures circling above in the sky day after day. I found it absolutely beautiful. And I know not a lot of people find turkey vultures or any vultures that attractive, but we absolutely need them. And now let's check out the top 5 on our Vultures photo contest. Here's the 3rd place, the 2nd place, and the grand prize winner. Congratulations, everybody. November, which is normally a very wet and cold month here, we dedicate to birds and precipitation. All right, time to say goodbye. Enjoy the rest of October. Don't eat too much candy for Halloween. And if you participate in our photo contest, please don't forget to write the names of the birds. Take care, everyone. I'll catch you in 2 weeks.